Sometimes, you move into a new place thinking you've finally found your slice of the American dream tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, maybe a barbecue or two. That's what I thought when I bought my house on Maple Lane. It wasn't a mansion, just a cozy spot where I could kick back and breathe easy. But instead of block parties and warm hellos, I got Karen, the HOA president who ruled our little suburb like she was born to make everyone's life miserable. Let me tell you how I turned her world upside down and made her regret every second she thought she could control us. It all started a few years back. I just signed the papers for my new place, still unpacking boxes and dreaming of quiet evenings on my porch. Then I met Karen. Picture a woman with perfectly pressed khakis, a clipboard practically welded to her hand, and a smile that could cut glass. She strutted around like she owned every blade of grass on the block. If your lawn was a quarter-inch too long, she'd notice. If your mailbox had a smudge, she'd write it up. My first run-in with her was day one. I'm hauling boxes, sweating through my shirt, and there's Karen staring from the sidewalk, scribbling on her pad like I'd just committed a felony. No, welcome to the neighborhood, or need a hand. Just a cold glare and a quick exit. That was my first hint I'd landed in her kingdom. Karen was the kind of person who lived for power. She'd slap you with a $2 $200 fine if your trash cans lingered curbside 5 minutes past pickup. Leave a Halloween pumpkin out past November 1st? That's $100 $100. Her favorite line? Rules are rules. No discussion, no mercy. But here's the kicker. Her own house was a disaster. Tools piled in her driveway, some half-baked garden project rotting in the sun, and a shed slammed right up against her property, Lenino permit. No nothing. Call her out? She'd snap, board business, not your concern. People grumbled, but nobody dared challenge her. She held the pen, so she made the rules. It wasn't long before I got my own taste of her nonsense. I'd spent a weekend sanding and painting my fence, pouring my soul into it. The store was out of the approved HOA stain, so I grabbed the closest match. Big mistake. Monday morning, there's an envelope taped to my door. $500 fine for non-compliant fence color. Karen's handwriting was pristine, her message pure venom. That was the moment something in me snapped. You know that feeling when you realize it's fight or be crushed. I wasn't about to let Karen steamroll me. So, I played the long game. Step 1. I joined the HOA board. Karen actually seemed thrilled, probably thinking I was some naive newbie she could mold. I put on my best, shucks, act, showed up to every meeting, nodded at her endless speeches, took notes like a model citizen. She started to trust me, or maybe she just underestimated me. Either way, I was watching, listening, biding my time. And I wasn't alone. Beneath the surface of our polite little suburb, a quiet rebellion was brewing. There was Susan for down the street, sharp as a tack and fed up with fines. Old Mr. Thompson, who'd lived here since Nixon was president, had his own grudges. A few others joined us, swapping stories over coffee, comparing violation notices. It felt less like gossip and more like a mission. The real spark came when I started questioning the HOA fees. They kept climbing every year. $500, $600, $700 for community improvements, Karen claimed. But the pool was closed half the summer for maintenance. The grass at the neighborhood entrance looked like a neglected field. Where was the money going? As a board member, I asked for budgets. Karen dodged me for months. The treasurer's busy, she'd say, or we'll review it next meeting. That meeting never happened. I got tired of her games and filed a formal request for the financial records. She stalled, buried me in paperwork, tried to wear me down. That's when I started knocking on doors. One by one, I asked neighbors if they'd noticed anything fishy. Turns out, plenty had. One guy saw a landscaper's van at Karen's house every week, yet her lawn was the only one looking like a golf course. Another neighbor swore Karen's kid was throwing pool parties when the rest of us were locked out. Then Tom, a quiet dad from 2 streets over, called me one night. "Check this out," he said, voice low. He'd kept receipts for 2 years, and his HOA fees didn't match what the board reported. Something stank, and it wasn't just Karen's overgrown garden. I finally cornered her at a board meeting, demanding the records in front of everyone. Her face froze for a split second, pure panic before she plastered on that razor smile. Of course, she chirped, transparency is key. She handed over a file, but when I got home and cracked it open, my jaw dropped. Half the invoices were for companies that didn't exist. Landscaping Vyces costing due law $15,000, paid to a contractor with Karen's last name. Consulting fees funneled to the same bank account, over and over. And get this, due law $5,000 for a community mural nobody had ever seen. It was a financial circus, and Karen was the ringmaster. For 3 weeks, I built a case with Susan and Tom. Susan's daughter, a paralegal, double-checked everything: spreadsheets, receipts, notarized statements. It all pointed to one thing. Karen was stealing from us, and she wasn't even good at hiding it. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Karen's right-hand man on the board, Greg, showed up at my door one night, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm done covering for her," he muttered, handing me a folder. Inside were email chains, bank transfers, even photos of Karen signing checks to herself. Turns out, even dictators have enemies. We planned the takedown for the annual HOA meeting. I barely slept the night before, my stomach churning with nerves and excitement. The room was packed, the air thick with tension. Karen stood at the front, spinning her usual nonsense about VYing the community and tough choices. I raised my hand. "Can you explain the missing due law $5,000 from last quarter's report?" Her smile faltered, but she tried to brush it off. That's when Susan stood up. Then Mr. Thompson. Then half the room. I passed out copies of our EVY dense pages of fake invoices, shady payments, all laid bare. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone shouted, "She stole from us." Karen's face went from pink to ghost white. She started yelling, "It's out of context. This is a setup." But nobody bought it. The room was a powder keg, and I just lit the fuse. I called for a vote to remove her. It was unanimous. Karen stormed out, nearly tripping over her own tacky lawn gnomes. We later brought in a forensic accountant who confirmed she'd siphoned off overdue law $50,000. Karen tried to fight back, but she got sued, had to sell her house to pay restitution, and her cousin's landscaping business was blacklisted from every HOA in the county. With her gone, things changed fast. We set up real, transparency dual signatures, public budgets, actual community votes. The pool stayed open all summer. The entrance grass was green again. And those HOA fees? Lowest in a decade. A few weeks later, someone texted me a photo. Karen, clipboard in hand, trying to weasel her way into an HOA in the next town. Word had spread, though. Someone Googled her name mid-meeting, and she got laughed out the door. That's the thing about people like Karen. They never stop trying to control, to profit, to make everyone else's life harder just because they can. But here's what I learned. You don't have to play their game. Sometimes, it just takes a few fed-up neighbors, some late nights, and the guts to call a bully's bluff. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Because if you let one Karen run the show, soon everyone's levying by her rules. So what about you? Would you have let her get away with it? Or would you have fought back, knowing it could cost you? What's the pettiest HOA rule you've ever dealt with? Drop your stories below, hit that like button if you're team takedown, and subscribe if you're ready for more battles against the Karens of the world. Let's hear what would Sayusa have done.